Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, holding a hearing today on, quote, reining in the administrative state is a bit like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. As we speak, Elon Musk and his band of near teenage accomplices are systematically working their way through the executive branch, knocking down agency after agency while undermining the rule of law and shredding the Constitution along the way. Musk and his team have unprecedented access to our most sensitive and personal data. They have gained access to extremely sensitive tax information at the IRS, highly restricted government records on millions of federal employees and their families from the Office of Personnel Management, and personal data related to health insurance plans, workplace safety and health investigations, child labor, and more from the Department of Labor. And this is just what we have learned through news articles, because all of these actions have been taken without any transparency to the American people. Musk and his team have accessed at least 18 agencies and untold amounts of sensitive data that is attractive to bad actors here and abroad. But Musk and his assistants are not just accessing this data. They are feeding it into AI models, downloading it onto commercial servers, and possibly taking it off premises. Because Musk and his team can also change our government systems. Not only is the personal information of millions of Americans at risk, but also the systems that ensure our safety and core government functions. For example, Musk and his team have accessed core systems at the Federal Aviation Administration. Experts have warned that, quote, even a small system disruption could cause mass grounding of flights, a halt in global shipping, or worse, downed planes. Officials at the FAA warn that going into these systems without an in-depth understanding could result in death and an economic harm to our nation. Nevertheless, Musk indicated that the DOGE team will aim to make, quote, rapid safety upgrades to the air traffic control system. Just in the past few weeks, we have seen what happens when mistakes are made in our air traffic control system, when a Black Hawk helicopter ran into a commercial flight, resulting in dozens of deaths. Musk and his team are opening us up to more deaths and critical economic harm. But Elon Musk is not content just to cause massive disruption and expose us to greater risk. No, he is also using his unfettered access to our agencies and our data to benefit himself. For example, the Department of Labor was investigating workplace abuse allegations at 3 Musk-owned companies: the Boring Company, SpaceX, and Tesla. So, Musk and his team invaded the agency and gained access to their information on current and past investigations. Just days before they got access to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Musk finalized a deal with Visa to process peer-to-peer payments for a wallet feature on X. Because the CFPB polices such payment systems, the data Musk and his team accessed could give his new X wallet feature a competitive advantage in the market. And as a kicker, the Trump administration instructed the CFPB to halt its work, thus ensuring that there is no one to keep Musk's new payment system from exposing personal data or enabling fraud. Never mind that the CFPB has produced almost $20 billion in consumer relief and has put millions back in the pockets of Americans. The agency had information Musk needed, so he got it. The agency would have enforced the law with a likely impact on his wallet, so the agency's work was halted instead. Serious concerns have been raised about whether the people accessing this data, many of them barely past college, have the appropriate training and vetting necessary to handle such sensitive data. That is an active data breach on a scale we have never experienced before. But this time, the threat is coming from inside the house. Imagine what domestic criminals or foreign adversaries could do if they got their hands on this information. This is a clear and present danger, and yet our Republican colleagues do nothing. In addition to these structural attacks on the executive branch, the Trump administration is also reclassifying civil servants as political employees who can be replaced with flunkies beholden to Donald Trump, imposing loyalty tests on national security officials and encouraging tens of thousands of employees to resign, with promises it has no authority to make. As a result, it is hollowing out the workforce and the decades of experience and technical expertise that comes with it. Without any authorization from Congress, the Trump administration has also taken several other actions that have thrown the federal government into chaos. It attempted to impose a, quote, temporary funding freeze, unquote, across much of the federal government that a judge has already ruled unlawful. It fired duly appointed Democratic members of independent agencies to deprive these agencies of a working quorum and essentially prevent them from fulfilling their missions. And to ensure that no one is able to hold the administration accountable from within the executive branch, the president fired more than a dozen inspectors general without following the statutory requirements for doing so. These actions are as unconstitutional as they are dangerous. While we witness these incursions on the rule of law and the Constitution, my Republican colleagues do nothing. In fact, they cheer on Elon Musk as he usurps congressional authority and arrogates unprecedented power to himself. When Joe Biden was president, we heard stirring speeches from our Republican friends about the need to assert our Article I authority. We were told that the Biden administration was guilty of dangerous overreach when it attempted to help people drowning in student loans, or protected our communities from gun violence, or helped shield consumers from corporate abuse. But now that is ancient history. Now they aid and abet shadow President Musk while he bulldozes his way through the administrative state, untethered to any congressional statute or authorization. There is no check and no balance from the Republican Congress, just feckless inaction because it serves their purposes. They know that undermining the critical protections provided by our agencies would be deeply unpopular, so they are content to abdicate their responsibilities and let Elon Musk do their dirty work. I urge my Republican colleagues to stand up for this institution and for the people they represent. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. I now recognize Chairman of the full committee, Mr. Jordan, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Instead of stopping the stupid spending, Democrats attack the guy who's exposing it. I think the taxpayers of this country would just as soon we stop spending their money on dumb things. Like what was the example from USAID, some transgender comic in Ireland spending money on Bert and Ernie and Big Bird on Baghdad TV. I think they would prefer we not do that. Elon Musk is exposing in the federal government exactly what he exposed at Twitter when he purchased Twitter. What did we find out there? Big government was pressuring big tech to censor Americans. And you don't have to take my word for it. We had the Twitter files. Oh, and we also had someone else in big tech send a letter to this committee and tell us exactly what they were doing. Mark Zuckerberg said the Biden administration was pressuring us to censor. We did it. We're sorry. We won't do it again. Told the whole world that in a letter to this committee. So Elon Musk is now doing that for the federal government. We think that's a good thing. And to understand the fundamental difference the left has with us conservatives. Democrats believe it is the career elected bureaucrats who are supposed to run the country. We don't think that's the way it's supposed to work. We actually think it's the people who put their name on a ballot who get elected by we the people who make the decisions. And the guy who got 77 million votes on November 5th says he wants Elon Musk working for him, the elected member who heads the executive branch working for him, every bit as much as the federal employees, the people in Treasury who are supposed to have all the answers, or in USAID who be the career officials, working for him to expose stupid things our government is spending money on. And the Democrats are going to attack that guy? Go ahead. Go right ahead. But we know the real consequences of having this administrative state, these bureaucrats run things. We got two witnesses here who've lived it. Ms. Wade and Mr. Smith. They're here to tell about how that had impacted their business. So I appreciate the chairman having this hearing. This is exactly the kind of hearing we have to have. And I appreciate the work the president and his team are doing to expose the stupid things bureaucrats spend the hard-earned money of the people we get the privilege of representing. I yield back.
Gentleman.